When you're planting trees, there's no way around it. You're bending again and again and again.
Your muscles and your joints can be pretty sore.
There's heavy-duty impact on your hips and your lower back.
My wrists, my elbows, my shoulders, they've taken such a beating.
Like, it's a very physical job, it's a very physically demanding job.
Exercise as much as you can.
Do some stretches.
You're here for the money, like, let's face it, it's the money. And the only way that you're gonna make that money is if you respect your body and you keep physically fit.
It's really amazing when you think of it, that an experienced tree planter will typically plant more than 1,600 trees each day. That means lifting more than 1,000 kilograms in a day, driving a shovel into the ground more than 3 times every minute, bending over more than 200 times every hour, kicking away the soil or screefing more than 2,000 times a day, and walking at least 16 kilometers every day through rough wilderness terrain carrying heavy loads of seedlings, water, and tools. Given these statistics, it's no wonder some tree planters miss some or all of a planting season because of injuries to wrists, backs, shoulders, or knees caused by these physically demanding activities. Planting trees in Ontario's wilderness areas is probably the toughest job you will ever do. The extremely high level of physical strength and endurance required and the enormous wear and tear on your body can cause serious damage that can last a lifetime if you're not properly prepared. And that's what this video program is all about, helping you to understand what you can expect in terms of physical stress, the risk factors, and highlighting some of the common sense ideas and practices you will learn in other training programs and in on-the-job experience. All of this will help avoid injury or lessen the effects of physical stress on your body. The injuries we're talking about in this program are commonly known as strain and sprain injuries. They occur when excessive stress because of posture, strength requirements, tools, terrain, repetition, and other factors are placed on muscles, joints, tendons, ligaments, and nerves. The strain and sprain injury can be sudden or have a gradual onset. It all depends on your own physical condition and the strength, frequency, and duration of exposure to the risk factors. The nature of tree planting is heavy work that takes place in rough terrain. It includes unnatural or exaggerated postures and body movements that are highly repetitive over long hours. Because of this, you're exposed to the risk factors over and over again. You'll face them every hour of every day of every week for the entire season. These risk factors are seen in activities such as carrying heavy loads, frequent bending, pounding a shovel into the ground, kicking at the ground with your foot to prepare planting sites, and walking on rough and uneven terrain. Improper tools and bad work habits complicate the risk factors. For example, footwear that doesn't protect the ankle or improper planting techniques in using the shovel, even the placement and adjustment of the heavy planting bags on your shoulders and hips can all increase your risks for injury.
The hardest part about tree planting is definitely walking around with heavy bags and climbing over things with heavy bags.
At the end of a planting day, my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders, they've taken such a beating just from putting that shovel into the ground over and over again.
The hardest part of my day is walking around with full bags, like when they're really heavy. You stagger over like logs and stones and things like that. Every step you take, there's heavy-duty impact on your hips and your lower back.
Depending on your personal physical capabilities and your personal work habits, the risk factors may affect you in different ways than they affect other planters, and some parts of the job may be more difficult for you to accomplish than for others. That's why it's important for you to know your body and your capabilities and to work safely within the limits you set for yourself. No matter how you look at it, it's a tough job that requires adequate physical conditioning, stamina, the right attitude, and above all, attention to tried and true methods of strain and sprain injury avoidance and tree planting activity. You can greatly reduce the odds of injuring yourself, especially during the first few weeks of strenuous work when acute strain and sprain symptoms often appear, by being in good shape before you report for work.
If I were talking to somebody who'd never been tree planting before, I'd probably tell them that it's a very physical job, it's a very physically demanding job. You're going to be using your body 8 to 10 hours a day, every day.
A plan to get yourself into good physical shape before the planting season is a key factor in avoiding or lessening the effects of strain and sprain injuries. It's always a good idea to consult with your doctor and a fitness expert before embarking on a strenuous exercise program. Experienced planters know that the first few days of work can often be the toughest on your body, and it's a time when some of the most serious injuries occur.
To get yourself in good physical condition for your first season planting or any year planting, you want to think about endurance, whatever exercise you can think of that you like to do, jogging, swimming, something where you're going to get some endurance. If you want to do some sort of weight-bearing exercise, you've got nice strong muscles that can deal with that repetitive blow over and over again, those exercises or those movements you do over and over again in a day, and you want to get flexibility in there somehow. Some sort of stretching is really important to have those muscles nice and long and less inclined to get injured.
Strengthening your muscles and improving the flexibility of your tendons, joints, and ligaments through a personalized conditioning program before you report for work is a good idea. This can be done in a gym or fitness center. If you're in pretty good physical shape, the conditioning program should start at least several weeks before work. And for others who are not, it should start several months before arriving at the work site. Core strength in the chest, back, legs, shoulders, and arms are important when dealing with heavy loads. Using weights that are safely within your range of capability can help develop muscle strength simply through repetition. You don't need to be trying to build the muscle mass of an Olympic weightlifter. Strengthening and stretching the muscles of the lower extremities, such as hip, knee, and ankle joints, are very important. Increasing your cardiovascular fitness level through aerobic activity is also necessary. Being physically active should be another important component of your pre-employment conditioning program. Participating in organized sporting activities or in things such as biking, inline skating, skiing, or jogging will help to build greater stamina and endurance.
The best advice that I would give a tree planter or someone interested in tree planting would be to exercise as much as you can before planting. And that could be just going to the gym or walking, biking, anything after a long winter of doing nothing.
Remember, your physical condition at the beginning of the planting season will not only help you to deal with the physical demands of the job, it will directly affect your productivity. Arrive in good physical condition for the job at hand. Minimize the chances of injury right up front, and you'll maximize your chances for a profitable summer. The notion working smarter, not harder, is more appropriate to tree planting work than just about any other occupation. Planting smarter means knowing and applying certain proven work practices that will help to control and eliminate the strain and sprain risk factors you'll face. One of the most important plant smart strategies is being able to recognize the signs and symptoms of injury and effectively dealing with them early. Becoming familiar with your body's response to the physical stresses and reporting complaints early is vital in preventing more serious injury. Follow the advice of experienced supervisors and fellow planters for early care and treatment of your complaint.
Aches and pains are going to be a normal part of tree planting, but listening to your body and knowing when to say I should take a break or when I should talk to my foreman about this is very important. Tendinitis is probably one of the biggest risks you have to worry about, either in your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder, or your knee. Sharp pains that tell you you can't move properly, if you're limping partially, if it hurts every time you put your shovel in the ground, chances are you're starting to get tendinitis and you need to talk to somebody. Your foreman will know what to do. Listen to him and listen to your body. You can save your whole tree planting season that way.
Be honest with yourself and others when it comes to pain and discomfort. Get effective treatment early and find out what you may need to do in adapting your work habits or your equipment to prevent further complications. Another plant smart strategy is having the right tools and personal protective equipment and then using them properly. Your employer and supervisors will give you all the information you require about equipment, including such things as proper footwear, the types of shovel to be used, and so on. Heed their advice and direction about equipment and its use very carefully. It can save you a lot of grief later.
Using the right tools is crucial. Having the right shovel for the right terrain. If you're in rocky ground, holding the shovel properly, not using a shovel that's not the right width for getting into rock, that can save you a ton of hassles too. Having a proper pair of footwear that have a steel toe and a steel shank. Make sure you've got your straps done up on your tree planting bags properly too. That can save a lot of strain and sprain on your back. One of the most important things about using your D-handle...
Of course, using the tools and equipment properly is just as important as having the right tools and equipment. For example, how you hold a D-handled shovel when you push it into the ground can help prevent injuries to your wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Keeping the wrist and elbow straight is the key.
You don't want to flex your arm like this or over-flex your arm like this, which can cause tendinitis in your wrist.
Planting smart also has to do with how you prepare your load and how you adjust the waist and shoulder support straps to properly balance the load on your body. Let your hips carry some of the weight and keep the middle bag directly over the base of your spine, only lightly loaded.
From my experience, the best ways to prevent any sore back, wearing your bags properly, not carrying a heavy weight in your back bag, keeping an even load between each bag, and finding that place that's right for you to carry your bags on your hips. And also shoulder straps, I think, are important as well.
We've already talked about how repetitive the individual steps of this job are, repeatedly kicking into the ground, reaching into the bag for another seedling, digging the shovel into the ground, and so on. Another plant smart technique that you'll hear about from experienced planters is known as planting from both sides.
I really regret that I didn't learn to plant on both sides of my body, using my hand on both sides and being a lot more versatile, because the right side of my body, my shoulder, it's sore. It's sore, and I've had to get a lot of work done just to keep it from really causing problems for me.
Being able to shift the shovel from your right to left hand and to retrieve the seedling and place it into the ground with either hand means that one side of the body or the other is not taking all the pounding and all the exaggerated movement. Planting smart by adjusting your technique as the terrain and planting conditions change is another way to ensure that you're ready for the different demands being placed on your body.
The terrain is so different. So some days you'll be planting in sand and the ground is really fast. You're planting really fast, moving quickly. You might plant an extra 1,000 trees that day. Some days you'll be in unscarified ground and it's different again. And then you'll be in rock, and you need to move differently in all those different terrains. You need to think about what sort of demands those different terrains put on your body and be adaptable. So if you're planting in rock, you don't throw the shovel into the ground the same way you would with sand. You need to think about that. And if you're planting unscarified, you need to screef differently than if you're in sand. You don't screef, so you save your body certain habits. So if you're planting in sand, save yourself a step that day, save your body that sort of grief and repetitive motion. You don't need to screef there. Screef where you need to. When you're on unscarified, if you need to screef more for a certain site, screef more there. If you don't. Save yourself the grief. Be flexible, versatile.
Being flexible and versatile in your planting methods will help to vary the patterns of muscle and joint use, giving some areas of the body a chance to rest and recuperate while others are working. We've already talked about the importance of being in good physical shape before you start the planting season. It's equally important in terms of preventing strain and sprain injuries to look after your body during the planting season.
A lot of people show up at planting camp for, the experience of it all, but if you're going to be doing it for a long time, you're here for the money. Let's face it, it's the money. It's what everybody comes out here for, every year. And the only way that you're going to make that money is if you respect your body and you keep physically fit. Give your body what it needs, the rest it needs, the food it needs, the water it needs, and don't strain yourself. Otherwise, that'll cut into your money. What are you doing out here,
That's right. In order to keep making money, you must keep your body in good shape. One way to do that is to exercise both before, during, and after work, every day without fail. Many planting companies will supply their planters with a handy exercise cue card that you can attach to your packs and use as a reminder and a guide to perform a planned set of exercises and stretching movements that will help keep your body in good shape while you're working. The exercise cue card shows you how to perform warm-up exercises each morning before you begin work. These exercises ensure that your muscles are warmed up and that all your joints are loose and flexible.
At the end of the day, your muscles and your joints can be pretty sore.
Cool-down exercises should be completed at the end of the day to prevent tightening up and painful joints and muscles. The exercise cue card also has a set of stretching movements that you can carry out during brief rests and while you're working throughout the day. The stretching exercises are so simple, they can even be done as you work.
When you're planting trees, there's no way around it. You're bending. You're bending over again and again and again, all day, every day for months. So it's really great if you can remember to give yourself a little break. If you're bending this way all day long, if you can, at your bag ups, remember to just do some stretches. If you can get your spine moving in the opposite way, because if you're bending this way all day, really what happens if your vertebrae are like this and they're bending this way all day, you need to give them a little break and bend them this way. So that's a really great thing to do. And it doesn't take long and it prevents a lot of injury, a lot of discomfort.
Looking after your body and staying in good physical condition also means proper nutrition and hydration. The strenuous activity of tree planting, often in hot weather, means that your body needs the right kind and amount of food and plenty of healthy fluids. Water is the most reliable fluid to be taking throughout the working day.
Keeping your body hydrated is so important. And if you're starting to get thirsty, you're dehydrated. So you need to not let yourself get thirsty. You need to always be drinking water. So remember to drink water even if it's cold and just pouring down rain. And then nutrition, yeah, you need to take a little bit of food on every break you have just to keep yourself going. Not a whole lot, because that can just slow you down, but a little something to just keep you going.
Oh, it's lasagna. Oh no!
You can expect to be taking in many more calories on a daily basis than you normally would when you're not planting. And the good news is that having plenty of healthy food available for hungry planters is an important priority set by planting companies. Strain and sprain injuries are also more likely to happen when the cells in your muscles, tendons, and ligaments are starved of nutrients because of poor nutrition or because you're not drinking enough fluids.
It's so important to eat well when you're planting. You know, you're going through a lot of physical activity and you need the nutrition. You need to eat fruit and vegetables and healthy things. And also, I find the best way to eat throughout the day is just little bits, kind of grazing throughout the whole day, so you're not heavy with food. And drink lots of water as well.
Fatigue resulting from poor nutrition and lack of water is another factor in strain and sprain injuries. When you're exhausted and tired, you're more susceptible to slips, trips, and falls, and in rough terrain, this can lead to injuries like painful sprained ankles or torn knee ligaments. As you develop efficient and safe work habits and learn to monitor your physical condition, you'll eventually overcome the soreness that everyone feels at the start of the planting season. Without realizing it, your tree bags and shovel will start to feel lighter, your aches and pains will diminish. You'll also have the satisfaction of knowing that you're applying the things you need to know about preventing the serious consequences that can arise from strain and sprain injuries. You'll also have the satisfaction of seeing your daily planting count climb along with your income. Then you know you're planting smarter, not harder, and you're a winner in tree planting survival of the fittest.